Religions often exhort us to love one another, love thy neighbor as thyself. Love thy neighbor, the person who is not me, who lives there, belongs in that community, as thyself. I love them as I would someone who belonged in my community. But religions typically also confer a sense of identity and belonging. Now, unfortunately, belonging is a very primal need. It goes back to, let's say, early man in the savannah. If I'm together, then I can keep the lion at bay. If I'm not, the lion can pick me off. So often belonging is posited as something that is against something else. Not a thing. I am not just A in and for itself. I'm A because I'm not B. And this is not just a function of religion. It's a function of societies, of football clubs. I'm Arsenal because I'm not Spurs, and so on. So there is that contradiction, isn't there? That there are religions that will say, love thy neighbor as thyself, that's Matthew, but on the other hand, I will go to war with you to make you love your neighbor as yourself.
That always works.
Even if I have to kill you for it. So, speak to that a little bit if you can, on the basis not just of your experience of your families, but perhaps in your work as well, where there are also imperatives that have traditionally championed selfishness, entrepreneurship. I want to make money. Never mind you. How do you promote a sense of understanding across barriers in the various worlds that you've encountered?
So this is so interesting. Just promise not to hypnotize me up here in front of you. You can therapy me at any point here. Help me understand myself. I have, through a series of experiences, become quite comfortable being on the outside when I need to. And so look, any introduction of me, it was a lovely introduction. I have a bunch of asterisks, a bunch of caveats. So I am an American who did not vote for Trump. I teach entrepreneurship, but only the kind I think is worth doing, with very different metrics of success, right? I am a Christian, and I don't know, a bunch of other Christians might not like the way I put it together, and they might think I don't count. They might say you're not in the club, and I'm okay with that. It took time for me to become this way. It took heartbreak. It took really tricky decisions. But I feel very comfortable, and in my own skin, I feel very comfortable with the set of beliefs that I have and the set of beliefs that Reza and I share. And again, back to the being madly in love, who has not felt like you're in an island, you're the only people in the whole universe, right? So I do believe that the center of that for our relationship, each of us feeling very comfortable in who we are. I didn't need Reza to match up with the same sets of things that any other community. I believe we're in a moment in time where we can form so much of our identity in our communities as we will define them for ourselves. I think the most important thing in the first 20 years of my life, the thing that has defined me the most by far, was my own faith journey. And then I unwound some pieces and parts of that, and I kept the pieces that mattered the most to me. And I decided there's doctrine and there's belief, and they're different. There's belief and there's practice, and hopefully they're not too different. Hopefully you're in line and integrated with those things. That's the piece that matters the most to me.